Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a co-founder and the CTO at Mastery Portfolio. This is the fourth video on a series of setting up your MasteryBook account. In the previous videos, we went through the different stages of setting up your account through the Manage tab. So we talked about mastery levels, we talked about standards, and we're about to talk about the members editor and the classes editor. We're going to start this video from where the last video left off. We're still inside the standard section of the Manage tab, and we're about to move into editing members and classes. Also in this video, I'm going to show you what custom standards look like, but I can't show you this until I have at least one class. So to do that, I'm going to jump into the class editor first. Before you create a new class, make sure you have the correct term open. So this is the term that we created at the beginning of the tutorial, 2022 to 23. You can switch into a different term using the account dropdown. I'm in the right term, so I'll create a new class. We'll call the class AP Calculus AB. The teacher name is going to be the name that appears on reports. And oftentimes we know that multiple teachers can teach or aid in a class, but when a report card is being generated, we might want only one teacher to appear on the report card. So you can type anything here. I'll type my own name, Mr. Knuckles. Period is an optional field. If you use periods at your school, you can enter the period there. Section is not optional. By default, it is 1, but if you need to distinguish between multiple sections with the same class name, you can change that value. And then we definitely need to select the term. So I'm selecting the open term. And then we want to add some students to this class. So if you click on the roster, you're going to see a list of all of the students who are currently enrolled, but my selected cohort doesn't have any members yet. That's because I haven't added any new members. So I'm going to move to the next field, which is teachers, and I need to assign a teacher to this class. Now, you should see the same thing that I see, which is exactly one person, yourself. So I will say that I teach this class, and we'll click Save. And it was saved successfully and updated the members' schedule. So to see the updated schedule, click on the member editor. If you see this warning that you don't have any cohorts assigned to the open term, make sure that you go into the settings tab and that you have some groups selected for the currently open academic year. We covered setting up your cohorts in the prelude, video 0, but I'll click Save Cohorts. And now, when I go into Member Editor, I can see myself, although my name is formatted incorrectly. There we go. And there's my class that I just got added to. So I will say Save. And now we can view that class when we go over to the MasteryBook. I'm prompted to select it. So this is the MasteryBook, but I don't have any students added and I don't have any assignments added. So let's add at least one student just to set up an example, and then we'll come back and we'll add assignments. Back into the Manage tab. In the Member Editor, I'm going to create a new member. You want to give a first name, a last name, and it's necessary to select a cohort. So I'll make this a senior, and you'll want to select what type of user this is. Now, the type of user is going to determine what kind of access they have to this app. So if you want somebody who can create assignments and give assignments inside classes, you can make that person a teacher. An administrator is going to be somebody who has all of the privileges you have. They can create members, they can create classes, and then archived, that's how you remove members. And you can archive anybody who you created accidentally. You might want to archive them, but don't ever archive students. if you want to remove students, let's say students who've graduated from your school, the way you do that is by selecting their cohort. And in the new academic year, like if it was next year, I would simply not teach seniors. So none of the seniors would appear in that new academic year. So students get essentially hidden from view when you change the available cohorts. Archiving is something you would only do if you never want to access that student or that member's information again. Anyway, in this example, we have another student who is a senior, and we will put the student inside my AP Calculus class. Now, just like I showed you with the standards editor, it's possible to upload everyone in your school using a CSV upload. Before I click that, I'll just save. So click on Switch to Upload. And just like before, if you need a summary of how to format the CSV, you can click here to preview all of the fields. And when your CSV is prepared, just drag it into this box or use the Browse button to find it on your file system. So at this point, we have a class, AP Calculus AB, and we have one student in that class. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like when we begin creating assignments. So I'll go into MasteryBook, and here is my student. We still need assignments. You can click here, or you can click the plus symbol in the top right. And so we'll give this assignment a name. And when you select the standards, all of the standards that we created in the previous video are going to appear in this drop-down. Or if you'd like to visualize the hierarchy, you can click this little icon and it'll bring up the standards on the right side. So this is a math class, so I might look inside discipline-specific standards, and in there, look for my math standards. Now, I only have one right now, but it is possible to click more than one, as an assignment can be aligned with multiple standards. Now, the purpose of this video is simply setting up your school. I'm not going to go through everything about assignments. We will create a due date, and we will save it. And now your MasteryBook is set up for assessing students. If there's one thing that I think we should go back and look at very briefly, I said earlier that we would see what custom standards are. So there's now a drop-down under custom standards, and you can see that the class that we created is listed here. And what this is it's a setup so that you can have standards that are specific to your individual classes. And this is just a very useful tool for teachers to create learning targets while they're teaching a particular class. They might find that a group of students needs a special focus on something where they're struggling, and so that teacher can break things down into more specific standards and have those standards only apply to the class. That's what custom standards are. However, most of the time, custom standards aren't going to be edited in this interface. They can be created when a teacher creates assignments. Let's take a look at that now. Now what we'll do is we'll create an assignment with custom standards. So I'll create another assignment up here. And what I'm going to do is select a learning target. And you might recall earlier that we said a learning target is a standard that we design for an individual assignment. And oftentimes a learning target is a way to break down standards into individual pieces that we can use for a single day of class. So we'll select a standard. Let's suppose we wanted to break down this math standard. Now, it will set up an abbreviation for you. So you might recall that the abbreviation for this linear equations was A.1, and what it's done is appended the -A. So we can say identify the inverse of the slope of a linear equation as an example. And then that becomes a standard that's specific to this class. I can filter by learning targets and find all of the ones that I've created. I've only created one so far, but I can create an assignment that addresses that learning target. You'll see that that standard has been created inside of our tree. And then finally, what we might want to do is test to make sure that our inputs work. So I'll type PL, and you can see that it turned green and it has the proper tag in the comments as we expected. Also, we're getting scores for that student. You can see the student has a 90 because we gave proficiency a weight of 90. And since they only have one score, that 90 is weighing with 90% weight. So they have a 90 equivalent in the class. Or if we look at their secure rating, they are secure on every standard that has been assessed so far. Now, of course, there's only one score that's ever been assessed, but 100% is an accurate score for them. So from here, you're encouraged to continue exploring the MasteryBook, all of the ways that you can leverage these tools to make assessment at your school not just easier, but also more enriching and effective for students.